Sie bedeutet nicht, dass eine künstliche Intelligenz die Algorithmen so steuert, dass die gesellschaftliche Meinung manipuliert wird. Das bedeutet Meinungsfreiheit nicht und es wäre naiv, es zu verwechseln. Also die Regulierung von Algorithmen von X oder TikTok durch die Anwendung der europäischen Rechtsnormen ist zentrale Aufgabe. Wir können, und das hätte ich vielleicht an diesem 9.11. nicht unter den 6.11. gesagt, wir können den demokratischen Diskurs nicht in die Hände von Elon Musk und chinesischen Softwaren legen. Militärisch.
This is my video update on this Saturday early evening, November the 9th, coming to you from Nicosia, Cyprus. Let's talk about some news. And let's start things off with the story. This is from Politico, that Iran ordered an operative to assassinate Trump before the election, federal prosecutors say. So according to the FBI, to documents that have now been revealed, the FBI, they are saying that the Iranian military, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, they hired this dude along with two other guys to take out Trump before the U.S. election. And I believe the documents even said that once the elections were over and they believed that Trump was going to lose, but after the elections, upon Trump's loss, he didn't lose, but they were expecting him to lose, that this guy was still on the job. He was still contracted to assassinate Trump. So even if Trump was not going to be president, he was still under contract, hired to assassinate Trump. And these are documents that the FBI has revealed, has unsealed. And the reason that the FBI is revealing this information is because Christoforou, he feels that it's important to show that Iran wants to do harm to the United States. FBI Director Chris Wray said that Iran has been conspiring with criminals and hitmen to target and gun down Americans on U.S. soil, and that simply won't be tolerated. That's a direct quote from Christoforou. And we can trust Christoforou, right? Absolutely. Absolutely. So 3 guys were involved in this plot. One guy, Farhad Shakeri, he's in Tehran. And the other 2 guys, according to Politico, have been arrested. In addition to the plot to kill Trump, Shakeri and 2 other men, Carlisle Rivera and Jonathan Lodholt, were charged with a separate attempted murder-for-hire scheme targeting a U.S. citizen of Iranian origin who has publicly opposed the Iranian government. Okay, so these 3 guys, Shakeri, Rivera, and Lodholt, they were hired to take out to target a U.S. citizen of Iranian origin who didn't like the Iranian government. So that was one of their jobs, and the other job that they were hired to do, the other contract, was to take out Trump, and that was given to Farhad Shakeri. And how do we know this? How do we know all of this? Well, Shakeri told the FBI. That's how we know. This is the weird part of the story. This is the part that I just quite don't understand. I don't get this part. Shakeri, he's in Tehran. The FBI called him, and they conducted a phone interview with him while he was in Iran. He's in Iran. The FBI calls him, or he calls the FBI, whatever, and they have a phone call, a phone conversation. And Shakeri tells the FBI that the Iranian military, the Iranian government, whatever, the Revolutionary Guard, they hired him to assassinate the President of the United States while he was in the U.S. And he's saying all of this while he's in Iran. Doesn't that sound weird? Isn't that weird? Isn't that strange? You would think that the Iranian government, the Iranian military would not like this guy Shakeri hanging out in Tehran, having a phone call with the FBI and telling the FBI that the Iranian military and the Iranian government, whatever, was plotting to assassinate Trump, now President Trump. This doesn't sound a bit strange, a bit odd, having a phone conversation with the FBI while he's in Tehran, giving them all this info? I don't know. The whole thing sounds weird. It really sounds weird. In September and October, according to Politico of this year, according to prosecutors, Shakeri, while located in Tehran, participated in voluntary phone interviews with the FBI. Prosecutors said his reason for agreeing to speak to the FBI was to attempt to obtain a sentence reduction for another individual who is imprisoned in the U.S. That's the story. Something feels off, very off. I would imagine that Iran is not happy with this guy and what he revealed to the FBI. I don't know. I don't know. Oh, man. I think they're trying to stir up some hatred, some intrigue, something with Iran with this story. That's how it sounds. Not the first time that we've had stories come out from U.S. media about Iran plotting to take out Trump. CNN ran a story after the assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania. A couple of days after that attempt on Trump, CNN ran a story saying that the FBI had learned about an Iranian plot to take out Trump before it was scheduled to take place before the Butler assassination attempt. Iran was plotting something. Anyway, Axios. Let's go to Axios. They are saying that Elon Musk was in the room with Trump when Elensky called. Elon Musk was there, and he even got to speak to Elensky. This is the big scoop from Axios. Elensky didn't only speak to Trump to congratulate Trump on his election win, but Elon Musk was also in the room, and he got to speak to Trump. Scoop: Elon Musk joined Trump's call with Elensky. Interesting, huh? I wonder if he was in the room or on the line. It says Donald Trump's phone call with Ukraine President Zelensky on Wednesday included two surprises. Elon Musk was also on the line, and Elensky was somewhat reassured by what he heard from the president-elect. Two sources with knowledge of the call tell Axios. So I wonder if Musk was in the same room with Trump, or if he was just patched into the call. It doesn't. Axios is not saying. But you know, the fact that Trump and Musk spoke to Elensky, I don't think that's a big deal. I don't think that's the story here. When you read the Axios article, the big story is that Elensky's having a panic attack, a mental breakdown. That's the big story. That's what Axios reveals. Elensky is depressed. He's suffering from anxiety and despair at the fact that Trump had won the election. That's what Axios reveals in this scoop. So Axios says Elensky himself felt the fact that the call happened so soon. He's in his feelings, that the call happened so soon after Trump was declared the winner was a positive sign, one of the sources told Axios. After Elensky congratulated Trump, the president-elect said he will support Ukraine, but didn't go into details. Three sources briefed on the call all told Axios that Elensky felt the call went well and that it did not increase his anxiety about Trump's victory. One source said it didn't leave Elensky with a feeling of despair. That's a direct quote. It didn't leave Elensky with a feeling of despair. So Elensky is depressed. He was depressed, suffering from anxiety. He felt that the fact that he got a call with Trump so soon is a good sign. Man, that is someone who is very, very worried. When you read through this Axios article, you understand that Elensky's very worried. He's breaking down. He is absolutely breaking down. The rumors from a couple of days ago that the ex-post from Elensky congratulating Trump, these were rumors from Ukraine media that the ex-post with the congratulations to Trump from Elensky's account, his official account, was not written by Elensky because he was such a mess that he wasn't able to actually put together a post on X. So he had to get one of his staffers, according to Ukraine media, one of his staffers had to actually write the congratulations post on X to Trump. That's how depressed and panicky Elensky was when Trump won the election. And this confirms it. That was a rumor. Those reports from Ukraine media were rumors, but after reading this Axios article, I now believe those rumors. Elensky was suffering from depression when Trump had won. He's overcome that depression now. Right? Now he's feeling better. Now he's feeling a lot better because he was able to talk to Trump and to Musk, and he talked to Elon Musk. What a bonus. So my scoop, Axios has their scoop by revealing that Trump was also on the line. My scoop, and you heard it here first, is that Elensky wasn't the only Ukraine official who was on the line speaking to Trump and Musk. Podolyak was also there. Hey, Podolyak, let's speak to Elon and Trump. What do you say, Podolyak? And Musk, my sources tell me that Musk and Trump were very happy that Podolyak was also on the line. When they found out that Podolyak was also on the call, Musk said, "Hey, Podolyak." And Trump said, "Hey, Podolyak, good to hear from you." Everyone is always excited when Podolyak's in the room. Yeah, so that's the Axios article. I don't think it's so important that Elon Musk was on the call. I think what the article actually reveals is that Elensky is a mess. He's a complete mess because Trump won. Did you listen to Elensky's speech in Budapest at this EU get-together? Elensky, man, he's losing his freaking mind. He sees North Koreans everywhere. North Koreans are everywhere, man. He doesn't let this North Korean thing go. He was giving a speech in English. This speech was in English while in Budapest, even though U.S. officials have told Elensky stop speaking English because all you do is mess up. Nope, he insists on speaking English because that's the performance. That's his character. His character is speaking English, wearing the green shirt, speaking English. And Elensky was talking about the North Korean military in Russia. This is what he's telling European officials. He's saying that North Korean soldiers are in Russia and they're fighting, they're engaging with the Ukraine military. He claims that the Ukraine military they're already North Korean casualties, North Korean military casualties. How does he know this? What evidence does he have? Nothing, zero, zilch, nada. But this is what he claims, that we have North Korean casualties as well. All of this is happening in Russia, mind you. And he's talking about how North Korean soldiers, North Korean military, is now fighting Europeans or European military or something like that. He's talking about how North Korea is engaging with Europe and North Korea is fighting Europe in Russia, in Kursk. I don't know, man. Elensky's losing his mind. He's really digging in with this North Korea story. He's betting it all on North Korea. That North Korea is going to be the one. That's going to be the wonder weapon, the wonder narrative that will finally put NATO boots on the ground in Ukraine. That's what he's betting on with this North Korea story. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on. In Kiev, the Russian military, they hit Kiev with missiles yesterday early morning, like 5:30 a.m., 5:30. And first they sent drones, and then after the drones, missiles were hitting Kiev. And this is the first time that missiles have hit Kiev in about I want to say a month or two. Every day or every other day, the Russian military has been sending drones into Kiev, and they've been depleting Ukraine's air defense systems. And yesterday we got the missiles following the drones. And this is worrying the Ukraine military a lot. It's worrying them a lot because the thinking is that all the drones over the past couple of weeks that have been going into Kiev were meant to deplete Ukraine's already depleted air defense network. And now the missiles are going to start hitting Kiev. And they're going to go after the energy infrastructure. And there are no air defense systems left to protect the city. It's not only Kiev, this is Odessa as well. That's the worry. That is the fear. That now the missiles are going to start striking the capital. Now that the drones have done their job and depleted the Patriot systems. One of the few cities, one of the few areas in Kiev that was still protected by air defense. Kiev, Odessa, and Lvov. So we'll see what happens if we are going to see more missiles now hitting energy infrastructure and military targets in Kiev. Maybe Intel headquarters as well. Now that the Russian military may be sensing that the air defense systems are sufficiently depleted. We'll see. This is the worry coming out of the Ukraine military with yesterday's missile strike into Kiev. So Biden, according to Reuters, he's doing everything he can to help Ukraine before he exits stage left. The Professor Biden, he is not only pushing to get the $9 billion to Elensky and 10% for the big guy, but he has lifted a restriction for military contractors to go to Ukraine. Contractors that are not going to go to the front line, not mercenaries, according to Reuters. These are military contractors that are going to go to Ukraine, far away from the front line, but are going to be there to maintain and repair military equipment, HIMARS and Abrams tanks and stuff like that, instead of having to send the military equipment to Poland or wherever, to Romania. Biden's lifting a restriction that he had imposed, but he's lifting that restriction now, and he's going to allow military contractors to go to Ukraine, far away from the front line, so that they can more quickly repair equipment and get that equipment back to the front line. He's doing everything he can to try and leave Ukraine in the best possible position before he rides off into the sunset in January. Biden on his horse, riding off into the sunset. Professor Bidenopolis. According to Reuters, the contractors, if they are annihilated by the Russian military, then the U.S. government is not going to be there to help. Meanwhile, the risks of being killed by Russian strikes will fall on the companies bidding for the Pentagon contracts. So the companies are gonna make money off of this, the military companies, and 10% for the big guy, but they're gonna make money off of this. I imagine the contractors are gonna get paid very, very well, because this is going to probably be a very dangerous job. Contract to go to Ukraine and fix military equipment. You know, the Russians are going to be trying to annihilate these areas or facilities where these repairs are taking place. And should something happen to these contractors, these American contractors, the Biden White House, they're saying it's not our problem. Not our problem. So that's what Reuters is reporting. And the European Union, one more story before we get to our clown world. The European Union is saying that they are ready to buy US LNG. This is what Ursula is telling Trump. This is what she's signaling to the incoming Trump administration. The European Union is afraid of tariffs and a trade war. They've already opened up a trade war with China, and they're afraid of a trade war with the United States. And so what Ursula said in Budapest is that what she will do in order to show good faith to Trump, a move to show good faith to Trump so that the EU and the US don't enter into some sort of a trade war, is that the EU will start purchasing LNG from the United States and not from Russia. Ursula, in her speech, actually admitted, she said in her speech that the European Union buys LNG from Russia. And she said that the US LNG is cheaper. This is what she said, US LNG is cheaper, and in order to engage with the Trump administration, with the incoming Trump administration, and to avoid some sort of a trade war, we'll buy more US LNG because it's cheaper.
So I think, first of all, engage. Very important. What we have started yesterday. Secondly, discuss about common interests. And there are common interests that we have. So, and then go into negotiations. Common interests are, for example, this is one topic that we touched upon. I would not say discussed, but we touched upon yesterday. It's the whole topic of LNG. We still get a lot of LNG via Russia, from Russia. And why not replace it by American LNG, which is cheaper for us and brings down our energy prices, but is something where we can get into a discussion, also what our trade deficit is concerned. So engage, look at common interest, and then negotiate.
So an admission that Ursula is funding Putin's war machine. She's funding Putin's war machine after 3 years saying that the EU has moved away from Russian energy. They've successfully diversified away from Russian energy. She now admits that the EU is buying Russian LNG, and she makes the claim that US LNG is cheaper. I don't know how true that is. And she makes the claim that she will buy US LNG instead of Russian LNG. The EU buys US LNG as well. By the way, they buy, from what I understand, 40% of the LNG, or 48% of the LNG that the EU in total, EU member states purchase coming from the US. I think I read that, and Russian LNG is something like 16 or 20%. I don't know, I could have these numbers wrong. But that's Ursula's offer to Trump. I don't think purchasing LNG works like that. Actually, I know that purchasing LNG doesn't work like that. Ursula doesn't make a phone call to EU member states and says, okay, I want us to stop purchasing LNG from Russia and start purchasing it from the United States. That's not how it works. That's not how the LNG market works. I don't know much about the LNG market, but I know that's not how things work. You have companies and brokers, and they're buying the LNG on the market. And they buy the LNG, and the LNG makes its way to wherever it needs to go in Europe, in the EU. And that's how it works. It doesn't come from from Ursula. Actually, Juncker did the same thing in 2016, I think, when he was Commission president, and it was completely political, symbolic. Everyone knew that Juncker doesn't have the power, the ability to say where LNG is coming from, where the market or the brokers are going to be purchasing the LNG. He doesn't have that type of power and authority, but it was more of a political move to Trump so that they don't enter into any type of trade difficulties with the United States. And now Ursula is just basically repeating what Juncker did in 2016. But the admission, the interesting part about her statement is the admission that the EU is buying Russian LNG. Of course it is. It's buying Russian LNG, it's buying US LNG, it's buying, the brokers. The brokers are buying LNG, right? Qatar, I don't know. I don't know where they're buying the LNG from, but they're buying the LNG. That's Ursula. That's Ursula. Oh boy. She's not the brightest, is she? She's not even original. Taking Juncker's idea, Juncker's idea of LNG purchases. So what else, before we get to our clown worlds, do I have any more stories? So there's talk that Trump is going to remove U.S. troops from Syria. This actually originated with RFK Jr. That's where the story originated. He was speaking to Tucker Carlson, and he said that when he was on the plane with Trump drew a map of the Middle East, and he identified where 500 U.S. soldiers, the U.S. bases in Syria, and how those soldiers, they're surrounded, completely surrounded by other militaries, by hostile militaries, whatever, and then they're trapped in Syria. And if something goes down, then they're doomed. And Trump said, according to RFK Jr., he said, we got to get these soldiers out of there to protect them. So this is not exactly, he hasn't actually put forward a policy yet to say that one of the first things he's going to do when he becomes president in January, when he's inaugurated, that he's going to remove the U.S. soldiers in Syria. But it looks like that's where he's leaning, understanding that those U.S. troops are in big trouble if something happens. They're tripwire. They're sitting there unprotected. He actually wanted to remove those troops before he left office in his first term. Remember, he wanted to remove those troops, but the Pentagon, they didn't obey his orders, his command. Remember that? And that was a huge deal. We did videos on this, me and Alexander, on the Duran, and we talked about this, and we pointed out what a huge deal this was for the commander-in-chief to order U.S. soldiers in Syria to leave, to get out of harm's way, and the Pentagon disobeyed the commander-in-chief's orders. And we talked about what a huge deal this was. And the collective West media, they didn't even talk about it. They didn't care about it. They didn't care that the commander-in-chief's order was not followed. So it wouldn't surprise me if one of the first things that Trump did was to get those soldiers out. It would not surprise me. And we have talked about this, me and Alexander, when we cover Syria. We talked in many videos in the past often about those U.S. troops, and we identified how those U.S. troops are in big trouble if things heat up in the Middle East. And at the time, I believe the reports were that there were 2,000 U.S. troops in Syria illegally occupying Syria. But I think RFK talked about, Tucker Carlson talked about 500 U.S. troops in that base, that area. It's the right thing to do, to get those troops out of there, to stop the occupation of Syria and to get those troops out of there and to safety, because right now they're not in a safe place, and they are illegally occupying the country of Syria. So Kuleba, the former foreign minister of Ukraine, they call him his nickname. This is not my nickname of Kuleba, but the nickname that the Russian media has for Kuleba, the alternative Russian media. They call Kuleba Banderite Harry Potter. That's what they call. That's a pretty good nickname. Banderite Harry Potter. He does look like Harry Potter, the Bandera version of Harry Potter. Anyway, Kuleba, he was giving an interview the other day, and he said that when he was speaking with Biden, that Biden knew that Ukraine was going to lose, and he had a folder on his desk, Kuleba said, and this folder, according to him, was a folder file on his desk which had all of the information and intel that Ukraine was going to fail in the conflict with Russia. But Biden pressed on with the conflict. He pushed Ukraine to press on with the conflict, and he got Europe to press on with the conflict. But according to Kuleba, the Biden White House knew all along that Ukraine was doomed. If that's true, if what Kuleba is saying is true, and I don't see why not to believe him, he's throwing Biden under the bus. And what does that say about Biden? He knew that Ukraine would be destroyed, and he didn't care. Because it wasn't about Ukraine. It never was about Ukraine, was it? It's about destroying Russia, getting regime change in Russia, and destroying Europe, specifically Germany. And finally, a quick story from Turkey. Erdogan, he put out a statement and said that if Trump really wants to solve the conflict in Ukraine, if he's committed to solving the conflict in Ukraine, then it can be resolved. That's what Erdogan said. He believes that it would be possible to resolve the Ukraine conflict quickly if the administration of U.S. President-elect Donald Trump shows the necessary resolve and intention to do so, which is exactly what I've been saying. It's exactly what the Duran has been saying. It's what Alexander has been saying on his channel. Resolving the conflict in Ukraine, if Trump really wants to resolve it, then it should be fairly straightforward. The hard one is the Middle East. That's the tough one. That's the complicated one. Ukraine, it's over. Russia won. So now you have to engage with Putin and figure out the details. Always being realistic. Figure out the details, but always being realistic with the situation as it is, which is a Russian victory. You have to accept that if you're the Trump administration and go from there. I believe Russia captured a couple of more towns or villages today as well. I forgot the names. Zaria, I believe, is one town or village, and then they're moving even closer to Pokrovsk. Every day it's a new village. Every day it's a new town or village or city, whatever. Not good for Elensky. Definitely not good. So let's get into some clown world territory. By the way, did you see Biden's speech the other day? How are we doing on time? Yeah, let's wrap it up. Did you see Biden's speech the other day? His I guess you could call it his concession speech to Trump, his admission that Harris had lost. It's so weird. Harris had to concede that she lost to Trump, and Biden, as the president, also had to give a speech, a concession speech to admit losing the election to Trump. Very weird dynamic going on, but Biden was, man, he was happy. He was happy. Did you see that speech? Not only was he happy, but he was awake. He was awake. He was aware. No mumbling, no bumbling, no gaffes, nothing. He had energy. He had some pep, some kick to his movements, to his delivery of the speech. I mean, the guy was excited. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? If I didn't know any better, if I didn't know the results of the election, and I just saw Biden speaking, and say the volume was completely turned down, and I just saw Biden there delivering a speech, I would have thought that Biden had won the election. I don't know. Democrats are really bad. They're blaming Biden. Even Pelosi is blaming Biden now. Even Pelosi is blaming Biden for Harris's loss. Give me a break. They're trying to put this on Biden. Pelosi, You were in the room with Obama and Schumer and Clinton when you forced Biden to step down. Come on, to pull out of the campaign. Who you trying to kid, Pelosi? So the clown world, let's see. Borrell is in Kiev. Jungle Joseph, one more visit to Kiev, his 5th visit to Kiev, he says, and his final as the foreign minister of the EU before Kaja Kallas takes over. Jungle Joseph visiting the garden one last time. Or is it the jungle? Is Jungle Joseph visiting the jungle or is he visiting the garden? I don't know anymore, but he's in Kiev. He looks awful. This photo of Joseph at the train station as he arrives in Kiev, he looks like he's aged 30 years. Being a globalist does that to you, I guess. All kinds of tweets, posts, ex-posts from David Lammy are now surfacing, screenshots of what he called Trump before Trump won the election, and what he posted on X after Trump won the election. David Lammy. Daily Mail story today. Yes, if Trump comes to the UK, I will be out protesting on the streets. He is a racist, KKK, and Nazi sympathizer. That's from September 2017. And then you have Lammy's post, congratulations to Trump on your victory. The UK has no greater friend than the US, with the special relationship being cherished on both sides of the Atlantic for more than 80 years. We look forward to working with you and J.D. Vance in the years ahead. Oh, Lammy, foreign minister of the UK. What a mess. What a mess you've gotten yourself into. Stammer's going to have to fire Lammy. He's going to have to fire him. I don't see any way around it. He has to go. There's no way around it. The internet does not forget. And and these posts where Lammy is blasting Trump, calling Trump the nastiest of names. You can't have this guy be your foreign secretary and deal with the United States. Lammy's going to go. That's my prediction. Or he's going to resign on his own. He's going to step down. And finally, the final clown world is that hashtag no Pompeo was trending in the U.S. on X. Hashtag no Pompeo is now the #1 trend in the USA, according to the account of Cat Turd Breaking. We did it. I agree with that hashtag, no Pompeo. Which tells me that if Trump does put Pompeo into his administration, which I don't think he will, I really don't think he will, but if he does make the mistake of putting Pompeo in his administration, then Trump supporters are going to be very, very disappointed, very upset and disappointed. But I don't think Trump's going to do it. Anyway, that is the video, everybody. TheDuran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, ODYSEE, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and X. Go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch like the hoodie I am wearing today or the t-shirt that I'm wearing today in this video. Link to the Duran shop is in the description box down below. Also check out our college collection, a new collection of shirts and hoodies on the Duran shop. Take care.